Hey, what's up, big? OPERATIONiDROID here, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get custom firmware with Arm9LoaderHax and Luma 3DS and all that other good stuff on your 3DS. Now, for those that don't know what custom firmware is, if you've ever done homebrew, it's kind of like an upgraded version of the homebrew launcher, except that Nintendo can never shut it down and you'll be able to have your hack forever. Now, some of the awesome things that you can do with this hack, of course, is have it forever with Nintendo not being able to take it down, having the homebrew launcher at all times, being able to get custom themes that will always work, play your favorite emulators and ROM hacks, as well as randomize your Pokemon games and much more. Doing this process of custom firmware is awesome, and I'm sure you all have heard of pretty cool stuff that you can do with custom firmware as well. So I hope you all are excited to learn how to do this. If you are, then please hit that like button, as I've tried my best to make this tutorial as clear as possible. This tutorial is going to be following a written guide that is just amazing. Tons of people have been able to get custom firmware on their 3DS using this written guide, including myself. And basically this video is just a transition of that written guide into video form, and it's a pretty long process, I'm not gonna lie. And there are some risks to doing this. Unlike homebrewing your 3DS, there is a possibility of breaking your 3DS while doing this process and it being unable to be used for pretty much ever. So I highly encourage you all that if you decide to do this process, which I recommend you all do, that you watch every single second of this video and follow all the steps in the written guide, and as well as what I say in this video, so that you don't break your 3DS. As I mentioned, hundreds of thousands of people have been able to get custom firmware on their 3DS using this written guide and me transitioning it to a video tutorial. So there really isn't that much of a risk as long as you pay attention and you follow each of the steps exactly as they are and don't try to do things on your own. So with that being said, if you still want to get custom firmware on your 3DS, we're about to head into a very long tutorial. Make sure you have time to do this so you're not rushed as you're doing this process, and I hope you all will enjoy the tutorial. It took a super long time to put it all together. I tried my best to make this super clear as the written guide, so I hope you enjoy. If you do, then again, hit the like button, as it helps out a lot and it shows me that you appreciate all the hard work I did for this video. And yeah, without any further ado, let's head into the tutorial. Alright, before we begin, there is a couple more things I would like to mention. The first one is that please check the description before starting this tutorial. I'll be updating it with information that you may need pertaining to this tutorial, because unlike the written guide that can be updated at any time, my video cannot, so I highly recommend you check the description for any important updates. Secondly, if you ever get any errors or you need any help with a specific part, asking a question in the comment section is always good. However, if you want a faster reply, you can add the 3DS Discord on your Discord application and you can ask questions there in help and questions. There's always people there that are ready to answer your questions, so I recommend that you add that Discord, and if you have any questions, you can ask there and you'll get an answer in seconds. Finally, if you want to donate to the 3DS guide, they have a donation link that I'll also put in the description below. This guide is really well made. I'm sure it took a ton of time, a lot more time than it took me to make this video, so I recommend you check it out. I already donated because without it, there was no way I could have made this video, so donate if you can. And lastly, make sure you're connected to Wi-Fi throughout this whole tutorial. Do this at home, have your Wi-Fi connected, and you'll be good. And now we can actually begin the tutorial. So this process is the same whether you have a Windows or a Mac computer, so just follow along with each and every single thing I do. To begin, you want to remove your SD card from your 3DS. If you have a new 3DS, then you'll have to unscrew the back plate, remove the micro SD card, and use an adapter to put it into your computer. If you have an old 3DS or a 2DS, then you can easily just remove the SD card from the SD card slot and put it into your computer. In order for this tutorial to work, you will need an SD card that has at least 4 gigabytes, as all the files that we'll be downloading will be around that size, so you definitely need an SD card of that size. If not, you cannot continue. Anyways, you want to head to your favorite web browser and paste in the URL the link I have in the description to the 3DS guide. And this first part is very important. You want to select the 3DS model that is like yours. The color doesn't matter, but the model is important. So if you have a new 3DS, select that. Old 3DS, whatever you have, click on the icon that's your 3DS. As you can see, the 3DSs are segregated by new 3DS and old 3DS. A new 3DS is a new 3DS, XL or normal, and old 3DSs are everything that's not a new 3DS, including 2DS, so remember that. Once you select your 3DS model, you have to select your homebrew entry point, so depending on your version, as you can see here, you will select it. So most of you should be on 9.0 through 11.2, and you'll be using SoundHax as your homebrew entry point as of the release of this video. Anyways, upon arriving at this homebrew launcher page, you want to download the starter kit, which just by clicking it, it'll automatically download to your computer, and it'll give you a starter.zip. Go ahead and unzip that file, and it should give you 3 files. Sometimes it'll only give you 2 files, which is okay, but the most important ones which you should get are the 3DS folder and the boot.3dsx file. Put these files onto the root of your SD card, so that means directly place it onto your SD card, not in any folders, and you'll be good. Once you do that, you can delete these files once they're on your SD card. Anyways, the next thing we want to do is get the latest release of SoundHax, so we're going to go to the SoundHax website, and you'll see that it tells you to choose your region. You can see your 3DS's region by going to your system settings and looking at the version at the top screen in the bottom right hand corner. If it says U, you have USA. If it says E, you have Europe. If it says J, you have Japan. If it says K, you have Korea. And then choose whether you have an old 3DS or a new 3DS and hit download M4A. Next, we're going to download the other app Payload, so go ahead and click on that link, and then you're going to input your 3DS version here. So first you want to select whether you have an old 3DS or a new 3DS. Select that, and then here you have to put exactly what your 3DS version is. As I mentioned, you can find it in your system settings in the top screen at the bottom right hand corner, and input all this information correctly and select download other app. Once you download this other app, we are going to put these files onto our SD card. The other app downloads a .bin file or a POSTV, whatever it says. And you want to rename that to other app. Now, if you have the .bin part, do not delete it. If you do not have the .bin part, then that's okay, just name it other app. So once you've done that, you also want to drag the SoundHax file into the root of your SD card, and your SD card should look like this at the moment. Next, we're going to head back to our web browser and go to the 3DS guide and continue to the Decrypt 9 step. Here, we're going to download the latest release of Decrypt 9. So go ahead and click on that link, and then you want to download the latest release, which is the zip file. So you'll see under downloads, there'll be a zip file that you want to download. Next, we're going to download the latest release of SafeHax. So go ahead and click on that link, and then you want to download the safehax.3dsx file. So go ahead and download that. And then you want to do the same thing for FastHax. Click on it and download the latest release of FastHax, which is the fasthax.3dsx file under downloads. So now that we have these 3 files, we're going to continue with the 3DS guide, and we are going to go back to our SD card. So as you can see, one of the steps says we need to rename a file to safehaxpayload.bin. So go ahead and copy that link, that name there. So just copy the SafeHax payload name, and we're going to be using that shortly. So make sure you copy that exactly as it is, because if this name is not correct, then this step will not work. Anyways, going back to our SD card, on the root of our SD card, we are going to go to our 3DS folder, and here we want to drag in the FastHax and safehax.3dsx files. Make sure they land in the 3DS folder and not within any other folders. Then on the root of our SD card, we want to create a new folder called Files 9. all in lowercase. And finally, we want to get that zip file that we downloaded for Decrypt 9, and it should give you all of these files here. The most important one is the decrypt9.bin. So you want to download that, you want to place that decrypt9 whip.bin file into the root of your SD card and then rename it to what we copied from the 3DX guide, which is CFW's payload. And then, as I mentioned, if the .bin is there, then just leave it. If it's not there, then that's okay. Just name it CFW's payload. Alright, and now that we've done that, we can remove our SD card from the computer and put it back into our 3DS. From here, we're going to go to Nintendo 3DS Sound application, and you'll see that your SD card is there after it loads, and you want to go to SD card and play the sound file there. This will automatically launch the Homebrew launcher on your Nintendo 3DS, and you want to scroll down to the FastHacks program, and then you're going to click on it in order to launch it. As you can see, we have FastHacks and CFWs. The first one you want to open is the FastHacks, and make sure it's the one with the icon next to it. Then it'll begin a process. If this does not work for you, as you can see in the 3DS guide, it says to just try again. Sometimes it will not work on the first try. Luckily for me, it did work on the first try, and I heard if you have a game card in your 3DS, it's more likely to succeed on the first try. But anyways, once it's done, you can exit, and then you're going to scroll down to CFWs, and we're going to launch CFWs, and this should automatically boot you into Decrypt 9. Now, I did not speed up this process. It does take a minute in order for it to launch Decrypt 9, which is here. And then you want to press select to unmount your SD card. So when you press select, you can leave your 3DS on, and you can remove the SD card without it having any issues. So once you remove the SD card, we're going to go back into our computer, go back to the 3DS guide, and continue to the next step, which is the 2.1.0 CR transfer. In order to download these files, you will need a torrent client. I use uTorrent, so I have a link in the description to uTorrent if you want to download it. Download that program, and then when you click on the link appropriate to your 3DS region, this is separated by region, so if you have USA, click on the USA one, Japan, whatever your region is, download the one for your region. And if you're using uTorrent, it should look like this. Once you click on the link, it'll give you a pop-up, and then you can go ahead and download the torrent. Now, this torrent download will take some time. Of course, I sped it up for the sake of the video. And this is very important. You will need to do this step. If you're not a fan of torrents, I'm sorry, but you still need to do this in order for it to work. So make sure you get a torrent client and download the file. It will give you a .zip file, so go ahead and unzip that file, and it should give you these two files from that .zip file. And you want to move the bin and the bin.sha files that you see here into your files 9 folder. And then once you've done that, you can remove your SD card, and we're going to go back into our 3DS. So once you remove your SD card, put it back into your 3DS normally. Remember, your 3DS should still be on. You should not have turned it off. And once the 3DS SD card is in, you want to press B to return. Make sure you do this once the SD card is in your 3DS. From here, you want to scroll down to SysNAND options and select the CTRNAND transfer. Then you want to click Auto CTRNAND transfer and complete the little steps that it says there. So for me, it said left, up, right, up, A. Input whatever it says for you. And then you want to select A on the 2.1.0 CR transfer.bin file. And once you select that file, it'll begin to do some steps on your 3DS. As you can see on your top screen, it'll ask you to do an optional NAND backup. This is not optional, this is mandatory. So make sure that you press A and you create this NAND backup. This will take some time. Of course, I sped it up for the sake of the video, or at least I think I did. Maybe I didn't, I don't remember, but if anything, you can always pause the video, and then once yours is done, you can continue to play it. So I'm pretty sure I did speed this up. So I'll be right back when it's done. Continue to play the video until you hear my voice again. Alright, so you'll know that this process is done and that everything went well because it'll say verified OK and press B to return. Once you press B, you want to hit select to unmount your SD card and remove your SD card from your 3DS. Once your SD card is out of your 3DS, you can press start to reboot, and this reboot will take some time. It took like 15 seconds for me, and I left that in real time so you all could see that this is a pretty long reboot. And once it does reboot, leave your 3DS on, do not turn it off, and do not put it into sleep mode. If you put your 3DS into sleep mode during this step, it may brick, or it probably will brick. So just don't put it into sleep mode for the rest of this tutorial. Okay, so now that you have your SD card in your computer, we're going to go into the Files 9 folder, and we're going to delete the 2.1.0 CR transfer files that we added earlier. Once you've deleted these files, we're going to go ahead and back up our Files 9 folder onto our computer. So drag it onto your computer and make sure it stays in your SD card as well. And put this folder in a safe place, somewhere where it will not be deleted, because the contents of this folder can save you from a brick in the future. So upload it to Dropbox, do whatever you have to do in order so that you do not lose that Files 9 folder, just in case you need it in the future. Anyways, let's head back to the 3DS guide and continue to the Arm9LoaderHax step. Here you'll see what you need, which there's a ton of files that we're going to go ahead and download now. The first 3 files are torrents, so click on them and open them in your torrent client. Then we're going to download the latest fork of Safe A9LH installer. So that is the 7Z file. So go ahead and download the 7Z file. Now we're going to get the latest release of Arm9LoaderHax by downloading the release.7z file. Next, we're going to get the Luma 3DS file, which is the .7z file, so make sure you download that. And then we're going to continue on with Homebrew Launcher Loader. So go ahead and download the zip file for the Homebrew Launcher Loader. Next, we're going to get Hourglass 9. So go ahead and open it and make sure you download the zip file for Hourglass 9. Then we're going to get Luma 3DS Updater, get the zip file for that as well. And then there's still a couple more things that we're going to need to get. It's a ton of files, trust me, just download them all now and we'll continue. Then we're going to get the latest release of DS Dump. So go ahead and download the dsdump.3dsx file. Then we're going to get the latest release of FBI. You can download the FBI.zip or you could download the FBI CIA. I downloaded the .zip. But either way, we're going to need the FBI.cia file, so download whichever one you want. Then you can need to download the latest release of God Mode 9. So download that zip file for the latest release of God Mode 9. Make sure you download the God Mode 9 one, as there's another zip file there too. And then we'll have to download the Homebrew Starter Kit again, which will automatically download. And now we're going to go through all these steps here in the 3DS folder, in the 3DS guide. Anyways, first thing we are going to do is that we are going to create a new folder called CIAS. So create that folder all in lowercase on the root of your SD card. Then you want to delete your 3DS folder by moving it to the trash. And then we're going to start with the starter.zip file. So go ahead and unzip the starter.zip file. And in it, you'll see that you have 2 files, the 3DS folder and the boot.3dsx file. Drag that onto the root of the SD card and make sure that you replace the old boot.3dsx file with this new one. Then we're going to extract the 7Z file. In order to extract 7Z files, you will need a special program. If you're on Mac, I use the Unarchiver, or if you are on Windows, you can use WinRAR. So go ahead and extract that 7Z file and it should give you a folder like so. In this folder here, we are going to go ahead and get the 4 files that are not the folder and put them onto the root of our SD card. Then open the 3DS folder in your SD card, open the 3DS folder here and down and move the safe folder into your 3DS folder just as I did there. Next, we're going to unzip the data input zip file that we have here. which should give you the files that you see here in a folder called A9LH. Now you want to get this A9LH folder and drag it onto the root of your SD card. Once you've done that, we can move on to the release.7z file. So go ahead and unzip that release.7z file, and then you're going to get a folder. Within that folder, we want to go ahead and get the files that are in there and put those within our A9LH folder that we just dragged into the root of our SD card. So go ahead and transfer those, and once you've done that, we can move on to the next file here, which is the homebrew launcher loader. And when you unzip it, it'll give you a CIA file, so you want to put that file that you got from the zip into your CIA's folder. Next, we're going to unzip the next file, which is a Luma updater file, which will also give you a CIA file. You want to put the Luma updater.cia file into your CIA's folder. Then you want to unzip the FBI zip, open it, and then here you'll find an FBI CIA, or if you alternatively just downloaded the FBI CIA, put that into your CIA's folder. Next, we're going to move on to the Luma 3ds.7z file, which will give you all the files that you see here. And this is going to be a little tricky. You want to get the Arm9LoaderHax.bin onto the root of your SD card, and make sure you replace the previous Arm9LoaderHax.bin file that was on the root of your SD card. Next, you want to make a new folder on the root of your SD card and name it Luma. Then inside that Luma folder, you want to create another new folder and name it Payloads. So make sure that you name all of this correctly, spelled out correctly, just as I did it here, or as it's spelled in the 3DS guide. Now we want to unzip the next file here, and inside this Hourglass 9 zip, it'll give you the Hourglass 9.bin. You want to drag that into the payloads folder that we just made, and then we're going to head back to the 3DS guide and copy the name here, which tells us to rename the Hourglass9.bin file to start Hourglass 9. So go ahead and rename it to start Hourglass 9. If the .bin is there, leave it there. If the .bin is not there, then don't worry about it and just name it start Hourglass 9. Next, we're going to unzip the God mode zip file, and then we're going to get the godmode.bin and put it into the payloads folder, just like we did with Hourglass 9. And we're going to copy the name that we need to rename it to, which is up godmode 9, and rename the godmode9.bin file to up godmode9.bin if the .bin was there. If it was not there, then just name it up godmode 9. Now we're going to head back to the root of our SD card and open the files 9 folder. And then we're going to get the .bin file that we have here. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm sure you guys know which file I just dragged in there. So drag that into your files 9 folder. Then you want to drag the dsdump.3dsx file into your 3ds folder. And finally, we're going to unzip the FBI's injectable and place it into the files 9 folder that is on the root of our SD card. So when you unzip this FBI injectable zip, you'll get a ton of injectable files for different regions and whatnot. Just get them all and put them into the files 9 folder. And once we've done that, we're done with this long process of putting a ton of files and things onto our SD card. Make sure that you did all of this correctly, following me and the 3DS guide, so that we can continue on to the next step. If you went wrong anywhere, then the next process will not work. Anyways, once you've done all of this, you can eject your SD card and put it back into your 3DS. Now, once we're on our 3DS, you're going to go to the internet browser, and in the URL, we're going to type in a specific URL that you see on the 3DS guide. So if you've been following the steps of the 3DS guide, just as I have been, and I've told you all to do as well, you'll see a specific URL there that you need to put into the internet browser. So just go ahead and type out that URL exactly as you see it there. If there's any spelling errors or anything like that, then this will not work. Don't type the URL that I have on screen, because maybe if you're watching this in the future, the URL may change, but if yours is the same as mine, that's cool too. Just make sure that you are writing it just as you see it on the 3DS guide and not on the screen. Anyways, once you write out that URL, it'll take you to a website, and a couple things may happen, so make sure you're reading the 3DS guide. In my case, my screen kind of just glitched out, and if that happens, then what you want to do is press select, and after pressing select, you want to wait 10 seconds, and after you wait 10 seconds, you want to turn off your 3DS by holding the power button. If you get something else, look at the 3DS guide and it'll tell you what to do. There's some troubleshooting that you can do there, just in case yours was different than mine, or something else happened that wasn't supposed to happen as seen on the 3DS guide. Anyways, once you turn off your 3DS, you want to take out your SD card, put it into your computer, go to the A9LH file, and you want to copy the otb.bin file onto your computer. Now this is another file that you cannot delete, that you want to keep. So make sure that you keep this file in a safe place, upload it. Whatever you did with the files9 folder, do the same thing with that otb.bin. Anyways, now you can put your SD card back into your 3DS, and you're going to press select and the power button at the same time, and it'll take you to this screen here. You want to select auto boot sysnand, use sysnand firm, and show NAND or user string in system settings. If you have a new 3DS, then you also want to enable the new 3DS setting that's there. It says new 3DS, click on that one and you'll be good. Once you've done that, you can press start to save and it'll reboot. Now from here, we're going to turn off our 3DS again. So hold the power button and power off, and now we're going to power a 3DS back on, but this time holding start at the same time as you hit power on, so that it'll launch you into Hourglass 9. From here, we want to click on sysnand backup and restore. We want to click sysnand restore, keep A9LH, then do the little button combination that you see there. For me, it was left up right A. Then you want to press A to choose the nandmin.bin file, and then this will put your NAND file back into your 3DS. Of course, I sped up this process for the sake of the video because it does take some time, so just pause the video and come back when yours is done, because it will take some time. You'll know that the process is done and everything went well when it says sysnand restore succeeded, and then you're going to press start to reboot. Then it'll reboot your 3DS. This will take some time, as you can see on screen now. I kept this in real time. It took about like 5-8 seconds for it to reboot my 3DS, and then once it reboots, you can go ahead and update your 3DS if it's not on the latest firmware. So from now on until forever, unless you take off your custom firmware, which I don't see why you would do that, you can update your 3DS through the system settings, other settings, and software update without the fear of losing your custom firmware or anything like that. If you update through here, you'll be fine and it's good. So I currently have the latest firmware, so there was no reason for me to update, but if there is an update in the future, you can do it that way without the fear of losing your hack or your custom firmware. Anyways, we are going to continue with the tutorial by turning off our 3DS, and then we are going to launch the Hourglass 9 again. So to launch Hourglass 9, you want to hold start and press the power button at the same time, and it will launch you into Hourglass 9. Once you're in Hourglass 9, we are going to go into the sysnand backup and restore, and then we're going to go into the health and safety dump, and then from here we are going to press A, and then this will dump the health and safety.app, and we're going to press B to return. Then we're going to click health and safety inject and do the little button combination it tells you to do, and then you're going to use the arrow keys to select the FBI file there, and you're going to inject that into your health and safety. Once you do that, you can click start to reboot. Now once your 3DS reboots, again it will take some time, you're going to go into the health and safety app, and you'll know that this little process worked because the health and safety app will have the icon for FBI, which is probably one of the most important applications for custom firmware. So go ahead and open the health and safety app, which is now FBI, and we're going to go into SD by pressing A, go to the CIAs folder, and then we're going to install all these CIAs by pressing A and then hitting A again to install the CIA, and then pressing A to confirm. Then it'll install the CIA, and we're just going to go down the line with the rest of the CIAs that we have here and install them. So basically what this is doing is installing FBI, the Homebrew launcher, and Luma updater onto our 3DS home menu as its own standalone icon. So whenever you want to go into it, you can just click on that icon like any other 3DS application, which is pretty cool. Once you're done with that, press B and go down to the Arm9LoaderHax.bin file, click A on it, and then scroll down to copy and hit copy with A. Then it'll say the file copy to the clipboard. You want to press B, and then we're going to go to the CTR NAND and then press A on current directory, and then select paste by pressing A and hit A to confirm. Once you've done that, we can press the home button to go back to our 3DS menu, and then it'll tell you new software has been added to the home menu, and you'll see that the updater for Luma 3DS is there, the Homebrew launcher is now an icon on your screen, as well as FBI is now an icon on your screen. Anyways, you can now launch the Homebrew launcher by pressing A, and now you'll notice that my Homebrew launcher actually doesn't load. Now this is a common problem. This happens sometimes. If it stays on a yellow screen and your Homebrew launcher doesn't load, then just power off your 3DS and do the process again. I kept this in the video just to let you guys know that this does happen sometimes. I was quite surprised to see that it happened to me, but it was good just to show you all that this does happen. So again, if your Homebrew launcher just freezes on a yellow screen, power off your 3DS by holding the power button, and then launch the Homebrew launcher again, and then hopefully on your second try you'll get in. If not, just try again. Anyways, now we're gonna open the dsp.dump file. Don't open the question mark one, open the one with the icon, press A on it, and it'll finish pretty fast, and it'll say press start to exit. Then go ahead and exit. Now we can press start to exit the Homebrew launcher. And then when we press A to reboot, we're also going to boot into Hourglass 9 by holding start. So when you press A to reboot, also hold start, and it'll boot into Hourglass 9. If it doesn't boot into Hourglass 9 for you, just turn off your 3DS and turn it back on while holding start to get into Hourglass 9. Then we're going to click on Sysnan Backup and Restore. Then we're going to go to the Health and Safety Inject. And now we're going to inject the Health and Safety app back into the Health and Safety app instead of FBI, since we have FBI as an icon on our home menu now. So select the Health and Safety app by pressing A, and then once that's done, you can press B to return. And once you press B to return, select to unmount your SD card, remove your SD card from your 3DS, and then press start to reboot. When you remove your SD card from your 3DS and press start to reboot, it will take you here, and then you want to enable the show NAND or user string in system settings. And if you're on a new 3DS, you also want to enable new 3DS CPU. And once you've enabled those things, put your SD card back into your 3DS and then hit start to save, and it'll reboot your 3DS, and you now have custom firmware with Arm9LoaderHax, Luma 3DS, Hourglass 9 on your 3DS. So now that our 3DS has custom firmware, you're probably wondering what you can do with it, and I am going to be showing you a couple things that you can do with custom firmware. But before we get into that, you can clean up your SD card and delete a few files on it so that you can get more space back to put more stuff on it. At the bottom of the 3DS guide, it'll tell you everything that you can keep on your 3DS SD card, so everything else you can delete. As you can see, I'm going through that process now, and I recommend that you do this so that you can get more space on your SD card. Of course, make sure you have your NAND bin and NAND min bin.sha backups. If you backed up your files 9 folder as I instructed earlier in the tutorial, then you're fine. Anyways, the first thing I'm going to be showing you how to get on your new custom firmware 3DS is themes. Everybody loves custom themes. It personalizes your 3DS, and it's very easy to do when you have a custom firmware 3DS. So head to your favorite web browser and paste in the URL the link I have in the description to CHMM2, which is the custom home menu manager. It'll give you a 7z file. Go ahead and extract that 7z file, and then you'll see that there's a chmm2.cia file. So as I showed you earlier, we can install CIAs by putting them into our CIAs folder. And then once we have this CIA, we also want to drag the themes folder that you see here into the root of your SD card. Now, once we have the themes folder and the CIA, we can actually go download themes. A good website to get themes is 3dsthemes.com, which I'll have linked in the description below, so put that into your favorite web browser. And here you can find a ton of awesome themes by scrolling through the numbers here, as well as they also have a popular section at the top left, and you can search for a specific theme if you're looking for something specifically like Zelda or Pokemon, whatever the case may be. But anyways, once you find a theme that you'd like and you click on it, it'll have a little download button at the top right, and all you have to do is click on that button to download it. And now you can get as many themes as you'd like. You can get themes that you want to use now, you can get themes that you might want to use in the future, but just put them all on your SD card now so you can switch between them whenever you'd like. So when you download a theme, it'll be a zip file. Once you unzip it, it'll give you a folder, and put those folders into the themes folder of your SD card. Once you have all those folders in the themes folder of your SD card, you can eject your SD card from your computer, put it into your 3DS, and then we're going to head to FBI to install a CIA. So when you open FBI, you're going to go to the SD card by pressing A, go to our CIAs folder by pressing A, click on the chmm2.cia, and you can hit install and delete CIA, since once we install it, we won't be needing the CIA anymore. So once it installs the CIA, you can go home, and you'll see that there is a new software on your home menu, which is the CHMM application, which allows you to apply themes to your 3DS. And of course, as I mentioned, if you put the themes that you downloaded from 3DS themes into your themes folder, you'll see them in the application. So you can preview your themes by pressing Y, and it'll show you how to look on your 3DS on the top screen, and you can install themes by pressing A. And you'll know that your theme has successfully installed because it'll say installing theme on the bottom screen. But also when you exit CHMM2 by pressing start and selecting exit CHMM2, it'll prompt you to power off your 3DS. So go ahead and power it off, and then when you power it back on, you'll see that your custom theme is now on your 3DS, and you can switch between custom themes by going back into CHMM, and you can go back to any default theme by switching your theme in the home menu. So that's custom themes on your 3DS, which is super awesome in my opinion. Anyways, the next thing you can do is install virtual console games onto your 3DS. Now, in this case, I'm going to be showing you how to install Pokemon Prism. So you can go to OPERATIONiDROID.com, which I have linked in the description below, then find Pokemon Prism, scroll down, and then click on CIA download, and this will install a virtual console Pokemon Prism CIA. So it'll download the CIA, put that CIA into your CIAs folder on your SD card, eject your SD card, and then we're going to do the same process that we did before in FBI to install our CIA by going into SD in FBI, then going to CIAs, and then hitting PokemonPrism.cia and hitting install and delete CIA. And this is how you install CIAs, like I mentioned before. If you ever want to install any CIA that you find online, then you just have to do this process again. Anyways, once you install the Pokemon Prism CIA, you'll see that you now have Pokemon Prism as a virtual console game on your home screen. So that's pretty cool, just to have Pokemon Prism there instead of having to go into like an emulator and then loading Pokemon Prism. However, there are a couple of features that you lose by not running it on an emulator. However, you can find CIA files for emulators online, and then you can just install the emulator as a CIA onto your home screen and add Pokemon Prism to its directory so you could play it there. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That's all I'll be showing you in this tutorial because it already is super long. We're at like 40 minutes now, and if you made it to this point, I cannot believe it. Thank you so much for lasting through this video with me for so long. The last thing I do want to show you is that you can also install CIAs via QR code. So if you find a QR code online for a CIA like this PKSM one, you can go to FBI And then when you open it, instead of going to your SD card, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see remote install. Press A on that, and then you can click scan QR code, and it'll launch your 3DS's camera and scan the QR code if you line it up in the camera, and it'll say install scanned QR code. And you can install the CIA without having to take out your SD card, which I know can be tedious with a new 3DS if there is a QR code like that available. So I won't be showing you how to use PKSM in this video because, as I mentioned, it's already a super long video, but I will have a tutorial out next weekend on how to use PKSM, which is an awesome PK hex on your 3DS without having to use a computer. And before that tutorial, I'm actually going to be making a tutorial on how to randomize Pokemon Sun and Moon with custom firmware. So that'll be out in the next couple of days. Leave a like if you're excited for that. And that's it. You now have custom firmware. Like I mentioned, thank you so much if you made it to the end of this video. If you were able to get custom firmware, please vote in the poll that you see on screen now, because I want to see how many people this tutorial helps. And yeah, I appreciate all the support you all show me, and that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like, as it helps out the video tremendously and I truly appreciate it, as well as comment down below what you're most excited to use with custom firmware, as I read all the comments and I would love to hear what you all like to use with custom firmware. Finally, if you are new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do so by clicking on my icon on screen now and hitting subscribe, because I'll be releasing more custom firmware tutorials, like what you can do with it, like randomizing Pokemon Sun and Moon and more stuff like that in the future. So be sure to check out those videos, and as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and welcome to the operation.